podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You are listening to the Cricket Corner podcast with me, Vatsal Vora. Hello and welcome once again to the Cricket Corner podcast with me, Vatsal Vora. But since it's time for yet another big ICC event, I have gotten my friends back for another preview episode where we will be covering the chances which some might say Team India might have, some might say Team India might not have. But to discuss all of that and India's journey in this ICC T20 World Cup held in the United States and Caribbean, we have my two good friends, Dvij Vaishnav. First of all, hi Dvij, welcome back.
Thanks, mate. It's a pleasure, as always.
Yes, and I will get to you to open the podcast because I have one question which I have to ask you. But before we get to that, let's welcome Nachiket Acharya as well. Hi Nachiket.
Hi Vatsal, great to be back after the IPL. We had a good discussion, so looking forward to another good preview episode.
Yes, we previewed Chennai Super Kings, but yes, we are not going to talk about who's going to win. Otherwise, that would be yet another episode being a KKR fan. If you're interested in that, there's already a podcast on that lined up. So make sure you tune into that as well. So yeah, let's start by talking about Team India now, because it feels like ages since we all talked about India and international cricket. The last thing that Team India played was that test series against England, which they won 4-1. And after that, we headed into the IPL. But now it's time for the T20 World Cup. And Dvij, I wanted to come to you first because earlier today on our group chat, you mentioned that you are not too optimistic about this particular World Cup. Why do you think so? Is it the squad which is being announced, or is it more of the players which have been involved and their form being a little dicey heading into the World Cup? What is the reason why you are not too upbeat about this particular T20 World Cup?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think the squad selection, as Rohit also mentioned in his press conference,
Yes.
that they had in mind of getting in four spinners to the World Cup, keeping in mind the conditions at the West Indies.
Yes.
So it was quite sure that whatever 11 we pick, there will at least be three spinners who will be playing.
Yes.
Either it will be a combination of Kuldeep and Chahal along with either of Jadeja or Akshar.
Yes.
Or it can be both Akshar, Jadeja with either one of Kuldeep or Chahal. So I think that maybe weakens the batting lineup a bit. But although I do feel that this also stresses highly on Hardik Pandya being our third seamer, and he has to complete his quota of 4 overs at any cost if we play three spinners. So seeing the IPL, seeing his form, I'm not so sure that he can deliver a good 4 overs on an economy under 7.5 or 8.
Yes.
And because he has the tendency of getting a bit expensive. And also looking at our other bowlers, I think apart from Bumrah, everyone has their economy in the higher 9-10 ranges. Arshdeep Singh he's not the Arshdeep Singh of 2 to 3 years back who used to nail those final 2 overs or who used to nail Yorkers. So he's also become a bit expensive. Siraj has become expensive, although he has shown signs of improvement in the later stages of the tournament. But Arshdeep, Siraj, Avesh Khan, all three are a bit expensive. So I think the bowling lineup is weak. Plus, in the batting also, I'm not so sure about that number 3 and 4 slot. I mean, who will you rope in that slot? Because there are 2 or 3 options, but there is no one who you would scream and say that this one will be our match winner. So that is why I don't think that we have the best chance.
Yeah, that is quite interesting, because even I had that how shall I put it, that issue in my mind where it is almost upon Hardik Pandya who has to bowl 4 overs regardless of what our bowling eventually is heading into tournament. Nachiket, do you agree with this that Hardik Pandya may not be, I'm not saying physically capable of bowling his quota of 4 overs, because he's done that in the IPL. I'm saying that And I kind of agree with Dvij as well, because he's not shown enough quality over the past couple of months in the IPL, which brings confidence in us that he could be relied upon in the middle overs in particular.
All the workload that has been talked much about were in the IPL. Also,
Yeah.
it was a couple of rumors were there that the management wants him to bowl more frequently. So I think all of this has been leading to him bowling consistently for India in the World Cup mainly.
Yeah.
And I guess if we are looking at him as a power play bowler, that's a concern. That's definitely a
Yes,
concern.
obvious. Yes.
But I think that his best trait would be if he comes in after the power play as a fifth or sixth option, because India might not need to play three specialist spinners, seamers, in
Yes.
Bumrah, Siraj, and Arshdeep.
Yeah.
If Hardik Pandya is bowling well in tricky pitches, let's say in West Indies, I guess we can have a Chahal or Akshar Patel in place of him, in place of a specialist seamer. But yes, questions have been raised regarding Hardik Pandya. He has not been in the best of touches, but all we can hope is that everything is managed upon nicely. He's seen as a fifth or sixth option rather than a partner of Bumrah with the new ball.
There is yet another very good point which Dvij made, and I want your thoughts on the same as well. He said that it is almost a certain, and I think you believe that as well, that it's almost certain that we are going to play three spinners. However, the permutation combination depends on the form and the kind of conditions we eventually play in. I think it's almost certain that Team India, regardless of who the opposition is or the conditions, will play Kuldeep Yadav and Ravindra Jadeja. So there's realistically one place open for either Akshar Patel or Yuzi Chahal. Now, Dvij said that if we play both Kuldeep and Yuzvendra Chahal, that will shorten our batting lineup. Does that mean that it's an automatic selection for someone like Akshar Patel, or is there still room for someone like Kuldeep and Chahal to play together as well?
I don't see Akshar Patel featuring in any of the games in the World Cup, because personally, I feel that even Jadeja's abilities are shortened a bit if a couple of left-handers are on the crease, and we have seen that with CSK, we have seen that with India, that he's used a bit smartly. So it wouldn't be the best of choices to play two very similar options. Talking about the batting depth, I think that at number 8 we only have one option, that is Kuldeep Yadav, and he's going to feature in almost all the matches. And even if we play either Arshdeep or Yuzvendra Chahal, I don't think that makes much of a difference, because I think five bowlers are pretty much select themselves. So Bumrah, Siraj, Kuldeep Yadav, Jadeja, and Hardik Pandya. It's a toss-up between Arshdeep, Akshar Patel, and Yuzvendra Chahal based on the conditions and how the captain wants his team.
Yeah, Twitch. So how much of a pressure that puts someone like Jasprit Bumrah under? Because from the outside, it is well known fact that his 4 overs are going to be priceless in this World Cup, and we have seen how well he is bowled in the IPL as well. Economy under 7, maybe even under 6.5 if I remember things correctly. How important or how much burden is there on his shoulders in particular to lead this bowling lineup?
Oh, I think massive burden on him this time, because this isn't a 50-over format wherein you can get in with 1 or 2 part-time bowlers of bowling 3 or 4 makeup overs. This is a T20 World Cup wherein you need all your 4 or 5 bowlers to have an impact. And currently, as I said earlier, also all our other seamers have a tendency to get knocked about in the end overs and in the power play as well. Whereas Bumrah is the only one who, in the middle overs, he will give you a good economical over. 2 overs, he will give you at the death. Yeah. So it is very important how Rohit Sharma uses him in the 20 overs quota. And pressure, I don't think, he is capable enough to handle such situations, but I think a massive responsibility lies on his shoulders.
Nachiket, if you are Rohit Sharma, how would you use Jasprit Bumrah's 4 overs, knowing that they are the most crucial 4 overs in any circumstances in against any opposition? Would you save him up for the back end in to bowl in the death, or you will utilize him right up front or a couple of overs in the middle overs? How do you think his 4 overs should be planned?
I think that the best way that suits him is a couple of overs in the power play.
Yes.
And depending on what the situation is, ideally, if we are at a pretty much a perfect place where the game is going till the 20th over, you expect at least an over of him in the death, because even Siraj or Arshdeep, or in that case any seamer, isn't able enough, or not able enough, but hasn't been the most convincing in the death, and Bumrah is one of the best in the world at that.
Yeah.
So ideally 2 overs up front and one maybe if we need a wicket in the middle, and in the end we do need at least 1 over of him.
Yes, I think it is, if in an ideal situation where our bowlers apart from Bumrah are in top shape, I would rather have him bowl just 1 over in the power play, one in the middle over, and two at the death, assuming we don't need another wicket or two in the middle overs. But that is just how I personally look into things. I think we have talked for a good amount of time on our bowling. Before we head into our batting, I would just like to share the squad with our listeners. So our squad is as follows. We have gone with 4 specialist batters in the form of Rohit Sharma, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Virat Kohli, and Surya Kumar Yadav. We have 4 all-rounders in the form of Hardik Pandya, Shivam Dube, Ravindra Jadeja, and Akshar Patel. We have 2 wicket-keeping options in the form of Rishabh Pant and Sanju Samson. And then we have 5 bowlers. 2 of them are spinners, who are Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzi Chahal, and 3 fast bowlers in the form of Arshdeep Singh, Jasprit Bumrah, and Mohammad Siraj. So there is variety in the squad. I'm not going to deny that. But earlier, when I asked Dwij about his lack of enthusiasm and lack of upbeatness, if that's even a word, about this particular World Cup, which briefly mentioned that the number 3 and the number 4 slots are still open, and there could be some changes, or there could be some other permutation combinations in that. Which, can you please elaborate on the same? Because from the outside, if you ask me, it was probably nailed down that Virat Kohli will be our number 3 and Surya will be our number 4. But are you seeing something different here, or would you have some different combination in our top 4?
I think that I'm first of all not comfortable with Surya Kumar at number 3, because I'm not a big fan of him facing the swinging ball because of his shot selection.
Yeah.
So I think that he probably suits best at number 4, because let's say if any of the openers gets out early, then you have the balls in swinging conditions, which Surya Kumar, I think, may not be the best person to face.
Yes.
So according to me, and seeing the form that Virat has, I think he and Rohit should open. And that would be a bit harsh on Yashasvi Jaiswal, because that also takes one left-hander out of the team. But I think if you want to play Virat Kohli, opening slot is the best for him in this squad, for me personally. Then at 3, I would personally go with Sanju Samson, just because he is our only specialist number 3 in the 15. Plus, he plays the swinging ball much better than Surya. And that will also help Surya Kumar at number 4, which is his traditional position in the Indian team. So I think Rohit, Virat, Sanju, and just because of the new ball and swing ball conditions, I would keep Surya at number 4. But when we talk about the middle order, there also I have a bit dilemma, but there I'll talk later when we come to that positions.
Sure. So, Nachiket, you have been a big advocate of this as well, about opening Virat Kohli along with Rohit Sharma. Do you think this is the right tournament for Team India and the management to use that option, or do you think they'll still be going with Yashasvi Jaiswal up front?
According to me, this should have been our combination since years, because
Yes.
often you want your best batters to play the
Yes,
full
yes.
20 overs.
Yes. Yes.
So, by talking about this tournament, he's been superb in the IPL. Orange cap holder again, not a surprise.
Yeah.
So I think that he should open along with Rohit Sharma. He can play the sheet anchor role. Uh, like Faf was just going for it since ball one.
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma will pretty much have an aggressive approach, and
Yes.
Kohli will be a good partner for him. And I absolutely want Surya Kumar Yadav at 3. So I think
Okay.
that this should be our top 3, because even he's won the ICC Men's T20 Cricketer of the Year. Just
Yeah.
yesterday, it was revealed
Yes.
by ICC. So I think that he's been one of the best T20 batters in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So basically you are going with Rohit, Kohli, and Sky as your top 3. Is that correct?
I would want that, but we all know that Rohit,
But yeah,
Jaiswal, and Kohli will be that.
yeah, exactly. And with Sky coming in at number 4. But it's quite an interesting thought process over here, because even I am someone who is a big advocate of Virat Kohli opening with Yashasvi Jaiswal, sorry, with Rohit Sharma, I beg your pardon. Now, the one downside to that is obviously it takes away the left hand right hand combination, which you can get if you use Jaiswal up front, who is a left hander, along with someone like Rohit Sharma. But on the other hand, we have seen a different kind of Virat Kohli opening the innings in this IPL. Yes, he is very much capable of playing the anchoring role, and he's done that towards the early stages of the IPL. But when the tournament gotten into its business end, and when RCB practically needed to win their remaining 5 or 6 matches, Virat Kohli did show signs of aggression in the power play. He was going after the faster bowlers. He was charging down the wicket to faster bowlers, which we have seen Virat Kohli do 6 or 7 years ago. He was starting to do that. He increased his strike rate massively this season. I think I don't exactly remember the number of sixes that he hit, but it was apparently is the most sixes he's hit in an IPL season. So he has started to take that aggressive route. Now, has he been doing that because he's got some inside talks with the Indian team management that we want you to use you as an opener? I think that's reading into it a bit too much, because in the end we know that India like to remain a little conservative in such scenarios. But I think it only time will tell what will happen, because deep down all 3 of us know for a fact that it is going to be Jaiswal and Rohit Sharma to open, regardless of what we discuss here on the podcast. I think we will take a short little break over here, and when we come back, we'll discuss India's middle order and our predictions for Team India in this World Cup. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the Cricket Corner podcast. And we talked about India's bowling. We talked about India's top order, should I say. And now let's talk about India's middle overs, where Dwij, you had some points you would like to share. I think this is the right time for you to take the center stage and say what you wanted to.
Yes, so I think that with Kohli opening,
Yes.
if you assume that Kohli is opening, then again you need to play Sanju Samson at 3, or if you drop Sanju Samson, then you have Surya Kumar at 3. But
Yes.
then what does it leave you with? You have Pant at either 4 or 5, followed by Dubey, Pandya, and Jadeja. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Rishabh Pant himself would be a good player at either number 5, because I think he's a perfect one to be fit at number 4. And that's what he does for DC as well. And
Yes.
in that case, you need to play Virat Kohli in the opening
Slot. Yes.
position. That means you don't get to play Jaiswal. And if you are not thinking of playing Sanju, then you need to play Surya Kumar at 3, which I personally am not a fan of. So I think playing Virat Kohli in the opening position does make a lot of sense. And that will obviously help Rishabh Pant get that number 4 spot, provided Sanju doesn't play. But if you play Sanju and you play Yashasvi Jaiswal, then where does that leave you with Rishabh Pant? You need to play him
Yes.
at number 5 or if the need be, Dubey gets promoted up the order to just hit a few balls and you have punt at 6 or 7. And can he make that impact at that position in a T20 match from ball one? I am not so sure. So that is why, followed by Jadeja and Pandya, can they make that impact if with just 2 or 3 balls remaining, considering their current form? Again, I am not so sure. So overall, I think the middle order also looks a bit dicey with, except Dubey, there is no pinch hitter per se who can go from ball one.
But
So that is again a bit worry.
but then
Yeah.
do you think, because when I prior to recording this podcast, I was just putting down an ideal 11 which Team India would play, not my personal one, the ideal one. And in that team, there was no real spot for someone like Shivam Dubey. And according to me, there could only be one of either Sanju Samson or Rishabh Pant. In your ideal situation, in your personal team, would you still bat both Sanju Samson and Rishabh Pant, or do you still have one person in this particular in your team?
No, I think Shivam Dubey is 200% nailed on in the starting 11.
All right.
Rohit Sharma himself said in the press conference that they were looking at Shivam Dubey as someone who can
Yeah.
become their regular finisher in the middle order and can leave an impact like someone like MS did in his time. So I think Shivam Dubey is nailed on in the 11, and that is why I'm questioning the position where Rishabh Pant will play.
Yes.
And how will he have an impact in that position? And there is no chance I see that Rishabh Pant being dropped or in the bench. So that might be Sanju Samson who would be sitting in the dugout. Rishabh Pant will definitely play at what position? I am not so sure. And if you want to play him, then where do you put Kohli? Do you play
Yeah.
Jaiswal also? I'm not sure.
Exactly. Nachiki, there's so many permutation combinations with which currently mentioned. What are your opinions on the same when it comes to the middle order? Do you think there is space for, like Dwit said, Rohit Sharma himself has put out the fact that he is dependent on someone like Shivam Dubey to come in as our finisher or a middle order destroyer. What are your opinions on that? Does he have a space in the middle order along with either Jaiswal opening or whatever the management decides to do in the end?
I personally don't have him in my preferred 11. Reason being, uh, we'd want batsmen at certain positions who are ready for whatever the situation
Yes.
that they walk in. Let's say India is 5 for 2. Would you want Shivam Dubey in? My answer is no. Even we saw he's not. He's protected a bit. Sent in after 10 to 12 overs when the situation is good. The ball is a bit older. It stopped moving, and he can attack the spinners. So at the international scene, teams and their analysts are pretty quick to pick
Yeah.
all of this up.
Yeah.
I would have Sanju Samson in place of him, considering Shivam Dubey hasn't been bowling a lot since the past couple of years in any form of the game. Yes, domestically he has been doing that, but not in the IPL. He bowled a bit for India, but he's a good, lovely prospect. He can bat at number 5, number 6 for India, but I would ideally want Sanju at 4 because be any situation of the game he'll be able to handle that. He has that experience now. His stock is higher than ever before it has
Yes.
been. So I guess that he should be in the 11 and should be given a consistent run.
On one hand, it is a big positive that someone like Shivam Dubey has earned his spot in the squad, at least, if not the playing 11. Only time will tell whether he is in the playing 11 or not. And it's also good to see someone like Sanju Samson also get a place, get a ticket on the flight, because he's been consistent in this year's IPL as well, while Shivam Dubey has been performing at a very high level in Indian colors wherever given the opportunity, and has been doing excellent for Chennai Super Kings over the past couple of years as well. However, there have been certain exclusions which have raised eyebrows around the cricketing fraternity, particularly in India, and that includes Rinku Singh and Shubman Gill. Now, one can understand why both of them are out, because in the end, you need to cover all of your basic positions, all of your necessities. There is no denying that. But there has been a lot of outroar surrounding the exclusion of Rinku Singh. Yes, he's not had the best of the IPLs in for KKR this season, but I don't think that is Rinku Singh's fault, all his fault in a way, because the top order has done so well for Kolkata Knight Riders in the IPL that it wasn't he wasn't necessary in a way. But still, it's a big exclusion because whenever given the opportunity in Indian colors, he's flourished over the past 365 days. Nachiket, do you think he should have been on in the squad? What are your personal opinions on Rinku Singh being mixed out, being the one left out, should I say? Because I think when the squad came, you kind of understood their decision, but eventually it's one of the bigger names to leave out based on the current form.
Never mind the squad, he should be in the 11 because whatever he has been asked of to perform in the international team, whatever situation he has walked in, he scored good runs and quick runs. We've seen some 10 ball 30s and 20 ball 40s and 50s and whatnot. Clean hits. So, given that he's performed for India for such a long time, and then you bring in people who haven't been in the international T20 scene for at least a year or two, it baffles me because he should have been in the 11.
Probably the first name in the playing 11, if you personally ask me. One of the first names.
But yes, if you wanted to put the first 5 to 6 names in the 11, he should have been there. But again, people in BCCI, like always, have been playing safe. You can understand where they're coming from. But this has to be one of the biggest blunders. We might have a good squad, but you just can't leave players like him out.
What are your opinions on the same, Dvij? Are you in the same boat that Rishabh Pant should have been in the squad? He's just the victim of Team India and the BCCI going with the ideal combination, or have they missed out on a big trick here?
Yeah, I think more than him being a victim, I think it's more about the team combination plus Shivam Dube's rise to form. So I think if Shivam Dube wouldn't have been in the form he's in since the past year, then that would have done two things. First, it would have kept a left-handing batting slot vacant in the middle order. That would have automatically put in Rinku Singh in the 11.
Yes.
And also, Shivam Dube might give you 1 or 2 overs. And being a left-hander, he has similar traits to Rinku Singh in terms of finishing abilities. Plus, he's, that 2-3 inches taller, which I think might have an advantage playing the bouncing deliveries in the West Indies wicket. And seeing the bowlers that the other teams like South Africa, West Indies, who we might face later in the tournament have. So I think Shivam Dube's rise to form and him being a left-hander, I think has directly hampered Rinku Singh's selection in the 11.
So based on your argument, you are saying that it was a direct competition between Rinku Singh and someone like Shubman Gill for a place in the playing 11.
I think not more than Shubman Gill, it was between Dube and Rinku Singh.
I meant Shivam Dube. Yes.
So Shivam Dube can give you that extra 1 or 2 overs if needed. Plus he plays the bouncing ball better than Rinku Singh. And I think these two things have nailed a spot for Dube, and that is why unfortunately Rinku has missed out.
Yes, because Rinku Singh has shown his potential over the past 1 year as well. He is someone whom you can who can reliably bank on, giving you quick fire runs at a strike rate of 185, 190 when it really matters, when you are chasing 50 of 18 deliveries. He's the kind of player you kind of need in towards your middle lower order. But unfortunately for him, and for Team India, he's not part of the squad. He's amongst the reserve. So there is a possibility of him coming into the squad if there is some freakish injury to any one of our players. So he's still there along with Shubman Gill, whom I confused with Shivam Dube. But Shivam Dube is in the squad and Shubman Gill along with Rinku Singh is in the reserves. Nachiket, if we are to win this T20 World Cup without a proper finisher in the form of Rinku Singh, who do you think is capable of taking that mantle from him? Because from the outside or from or for someone who is just looking at a stat sheet, there is no lower order player in Indian squad who plays at a strike rate of 180, 170. Yes, Ravindra Jadeja is capable of playing. Hardik Pandya is capable of doing that, but not at a very consistent level. Is there a like for like substitute for someone like Rinku Singh, or you just have to deal with what you have?
Well, basically the finishing will be dependent on three of the players. So that would be Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, and Ravindra Jadeja. Because
Yeah.
Pant coming in at basically these three batsmen will be coming in at 5, 6, 7 respectively. So I think that maximum matches they have to finish by themselves. So they have done it in the past. We've seen that, but not of late, of course. But
Yes.
we can definitely hope that their experience comes in handy. Yes, they haven't been. I think there's been a long time since you've seen someone tonk the ball like Rinku Singh. We have seen for India, like
Yeah.
20 ball 60 to 15 ball 50 or something like that. I guess that he's a player who is definitely capable of doing that again and again. So these three can finish games for
Yeah.
India. So we just have to hope.
It is kind of a skill which is not too easy to find when it comes to Team India and the players that Team India usually have amongst its ranks. But on that note, since we have already discussed our bowling, our top order, middle order, and our lower order, I would like both of you to name your ideal playing 11, not something which BCCI might put on the field. Your personal playing 11, if you were in charge, if you were Rahul Dravid, what would your ideal playing 11 be? I think we'll start with Nachiket.
So as I basically said that Kohli and Rohit should open. So they'll be my openers. After that, Surya Kumar Yadav at 3,
Yes.
Sanju Samson at 4,
Mm-hmm.
Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja,
Okay.
Bumrah Siraj, Kuldeep Yadav, and it would be a toss-up between Arshdeep and Yuzvendra Chahal, depending on the conditions and what opposition we are playing.
So quite an interesting one where you are having both Samson and Pant. Who's keeping the who's taking the gloves?
That would be Rishabh Pant because we'll need a lot of entertainment behind the stumps.
Yes, good. It's so good to see him back. I think this is the first time he's returned to an Indian squad. I don't think, I think it is the first time he's returned to the Indian squad for the first time since that freakish accident he had almost a year and a half ago now. So it's good to see him back. And being
he'll
a
also be able to set the fields and guide the player bowlers
Yes.
a bit better because Sanju Samson also has been a good leader for Rajasthan.
Mhm.
But India is also seeing someone like Rishabh Pant as a future leader in at least red ball cricket
Yep.
because he's a realistic option. So we need him behind the stumps.
Particularly with age on his side as well. Otherwise, most of our captaincy candidates are nearing 30, if
At least
not already
30.
past. Yeah, exactly. Dwij, what would your ideal playing 11 be if you are Rahul Dravid?
Firstly, I was amazed Nachiket didn't pick his own CSK player Shivam Dube in the 11.
Yes.
He's in my team, so my 11 would be Rohit and Kohli opening,
Mhm.
Sanju at 3, Sky at 4, Pant at 5, Dube at 6, Pandya at 7, Jadeja at 8,
Yes.
followed by Kuldeep, Siraj, and Bumrah. So I would drop Arshdeep and I would just pick Siraj based on his latest form with RCB.
Yeah. So in that regard, you are hoping that someone like Shivam Dube would give you a few overs as well.
No, I'm just hopeful that, the 5 bowlers, including Hardik Pandya,
Yeah.
I'll have just 5 bowlers in my team with, yes, as you said, Shivam Dube with the occasional 1 or 2 overs.
Nachiket, that is quite an interesting squad because Dwight started the podcast by saying that an ideal Team India would be lacking the batting depth. Now he's in his ideal team. Team India is batting till number 8, which is kind of what you want from a T20 side. I think are you pleased? Are you like, what are your thoughts, I should say, on this particular side? Because I'm quite impressed that if India can somehow get their team bat till all the way till number 8 and not rely on someone like Kuldeep Yadav. So what are your opinions on this?
I think Hardik Pandya has always been effective for Team India, and in that case for Mumbai Indians or Gujarat Titans when he has been the sixth bowler.
Yes.
Not so much for Gujarat Titans because he used to open the bowling for them too. But for India, he's definitely been one of the best all-rounders recently. So if you put a lot of pressure on him for bowling 4 overs consistently, I guess that you're taking away some of the some part of his abilities away because he'll struggle a bit if he's asked to open the bowling or bowl immediately after the power play or something like that.
Yeah.
Jadeja at 8 is also a bit dicey, but I understand where Dwij is coming from, that Shivam Dubey would be able to bowl a couple of overs at least. So, but I personally not prefer that.
But in an ideal scenario, what the team might look like heading into our first game against Ireland on the 5th of June, and correct me if I'm wrong, the ideal playing 11, regardless of our discussion, is going to be Rohit Sharma to open with Yashasvi Jaiswal, then Kohli at 3, Sky at 4, Pant at 5, Pandya at 6, Jadeja at 7, Kuldeep at 8. Then we have Bumrah, Siraj, and one of Arshdeep or Chahal based on the condition. I think is that the right way? Do you think that is the most realistic way Team India would line up?
I think that in the group stages, at least they can stick with an extra spinner because USA, Canada, Ireland, they won't be pretty much prepared or might not have the quality to play spinners like this. Against Pakistan, it could be a toss-up between Chahal and Arshdeep, but I think 3 spinners could definitely do the trick.
So before we come to the final part of this podcast, which is all 3 of us giving our personal predictions regarding Team India and how they'll perform in the World Cup, I would just like to mention one thing which I just found over on the internet is that should India, assuming all the seeded teams would make it through to the final 8, I think that it's called the Super 8, which will be again divided into groups of 4, of which the top 2 will make it in the semi-finals. India currently are in a group along with Pakistan, Ireland, Canada, and US. So you assume India to win all 4 group matches. And should they do that, India would be seeded 1. And in the Super 8, we'll be up against Australia, New Zealand, or one of Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. So keeping that in mind, Dwij, let's come to you first over here. What are your predictions for Team India in general? Do you think we'll make it into the semi-finals? Do you think we'll make it into the final? Do you think we'll win it? I don't think you are ones who is going to say we are going to win it. How far can you see Team India reach realistically?
This T20 side, I'm not, to be honest, I'm not optimistic of them crossing the top 8 if we face Australia or New Zealand. If we face someone like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, then yes, I think we might get through. But if we face any of the teams from England, like not England, Australia, South Africa or New Zealand, then I think I'm not much optimistic.
So that's the thing, because assuming the seeded teams go through, our Super 8's group would be Australia, New Zealand, or one of Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. So you have to qualify among the top 2.
So if you realistically see, I think Australia will top their group. So I think if I don't know what the top 8 draw would be, but if we face against Australia, then I think you have the Maxwell of Australia who is playing for them. Plus the Maxwell, the bowler of Australia who is playing. Adam Zampa, and we all know Virat Kohli has always been uncomfortable against him. They have, innumerable seam options in Mitchell Marsh, Marcus Stoinis, and, Cameron Green if they decide to play him. So if we face Australia, I think it would be next to impossible for us to qualify with this squad.
So maximum semi-final for you then?
Very optimistic case semi-final only if we face someone like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. And if we make the final, nobody would be more happier to be proved wrong than me. But
Yep.
I think with this squad, maximum we can do is semi-final.
What about you, Nachiket? Is the Super 8 might be tricky for us if we are about to face Australia and New Zealand in the Super 8s? Do you think we'll make out of that particular group and qualify for the semifinals? How far do you think we can realistically reach?
I think we are at least reaching the semifinals.
All right.
That's what I think, because I
Okay.
don't think that the team is as weak as we are making out here. But
Yeah.
the quality is there, the experience is there. We have to perform
Yeah.
in the knockouts, basically. This team will always come out on top in the group stages, beat any ICC tournament. But Super 8s will be a bit tricky. We might lose a game or two, but I don't think that we'll be struggling to make it into the semi-finals at least. And after that, it all depends on what approach that we have taken, what
Yeah.
brand of cricket that we are playing. If we are playing the 2022 version of T20 cricket that India played, there's no chance, I do not think. But of late, we've seen that
Yeah.
we have applied a pretty much fearless approach. So if going by that, I think that at least we should be making the semis, if not the finals.
Yeah, I think I realistically believe the semifinals is the least we can expect from our side at the moment, because yes, the team might be lacking in a few areas here and there, but we have to realize that we have got some of the best T20 batters in the form of Kohli and Surya Kumar Yadav, and arguably the best all format bowler in the form of Jasprit Bumrah. So I think a lot of responsibilities are on the shoulders of those aforementioned three players. And if all three of them click in a way, I think semifinals is a very realistic chance. Should we make it into the semifinals, we could face either England, West Indies, Pakistan, no, or South Africa in the semifinals. Let's assume it's a team like South Africa who might choke on the global stage, but only time will tell that. That is it from our side. Dwij, any parting thoughts before we wrap things up?
I think all the best to Team India, and
Yep.
whatever the team plays, I do hope that Sanju Samson and Shivam Dube both are in the 11. They both deserve a place in this side. And only one parting note is beware of South Africa. They may be chokers, but this time they have the firepower to go all in.
Yeah, I really believe that South Africa have a very good squad. We have seen the likes of Klaasen, Miller, even Tristan Stubbs has come into the action now, and they are a very good side. I also want the listeners to keep an eye on a certain West Indies, because even they have a team full of pinch hitters all up and down their batting order, the likes of Rahman Powell, there's Nicholas Pooran, Shimron Hetmeyer, Rutherford, Romario Shepherd. It's a team jam packed with big hitters, and even two of them click, the total could be mammoth for the opposition to chase. Your parting thoughts, Nachiket? Like Dwij and I mentioned that we have our eyes open on South Africa, and for me it was West Indies. Do you have a dark horse in your mind?
Well, you can always say that about South Africa. They've had a strong squad since the past 20 years, but of no use when it matters the most.
Yeah.
I think that West Indies are a bit of a dark horse, because home conditions, plus they also have some of the top players back in the squad.
Yeah.
Because last time we saw around 2016, 2014, that was peak West Indies. That was some beautiful players and all the respects. And I think that the players that you mentioned are coming back. Nicholas Pooran is a big X factor for them. So they're looking well both in terms of batting and bowling. And I would just ask Dwij to cheer up a bit. This is not Punjab Kings. This is Team India. Let's cheer and let's hope that we win.
The IPL is never.
If they would have roped in Shashank, I would have gotten us to win the final.
There you go. That's the thing we wanted to end our podcast on. I think we have covered so many points regarding Team India. We have completely dissected our 15-man squad, and all the best to Team India. At the time of recording this podcast, it's already 1st of June in India, so that means that Team India are about to play Bangladesh in a warm-up game, which is the last warm-up game before the tournament kickstarts in a couple of days' time. As I mentioned earlier on the podcast, that India play Ireland in their opening game. I think it is in New York, and I think they play on the 5th of June. So India have got that game, and then they play Pakistan, I think, on the 9th, if I'm not wrong. It's the second game. So we'll see about that. We'll be covering all the matches here on the Cricket Corner podcast. Make sure you're liking, sharing, and subscribing if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this, or if you're listening this on Spotify or Apple Podcast, then make sure you're giving me the 5-star ratings should you think I deserve. However, for the time being, this is me, Vatsal Vora, along with Nachiket Acharya and Dvij Vaishnav signing off. Ciao for now.
Sports Social Podcast Network.